I wasn't always like this, I used to be normal. I always remember my mum driving me to school, listening to songs on the radio. Happy times. Then came the dark times. The feel of the rigid handcuffs tightening around my wrists. The sound of the heavy cell door shutting behind me. Then nothing but my own thoughts drowning my brain. The ups, the downs, a constant loop. Why, how? Why and how did I end up like this? I'm a failure. Depression sinks in, then drug use follows. Boom! I wake up. It was all a dream. But then I realise I'm in prison and I'm living that dream. Then change happens. I start to embrace prison life and use my past as a strength and not a weakness. Prison ain't so bad, but I've got to want to change. Use the facilities at my disposal to better myself. Hone in on my skills and passions. Be a better person. Make the right decisions. I get out, freedom at last, then my son is born, the best day of my life. I wish I could stay in this day like Groundhog Day, so that every day is my best day. Boom! Them cold rigid handcuffs touching my skin yet again. Recall, that sinking feeling, you know what's coming, what's yet to come. Only this time it's different. I've seen the light, I want success, I want to be pro-social. Time for change, only this time for good. My son is my world, nothing else matters. I knuckle down, gain qualifications and see prison as a helpful factor in my life. Use my time productively, no more drugs. Exercise is my new drug. Eat, sleep, educate, repeat. Eat, sleep, educate, repeat. Prison has helped me see where I was going wrong. Gave me the time to progress. People blame the system, but I blame myself. You can't change until you genuinely want to change. Look in the mirror every morning. Say to yourself, I'm amazing, I've got this, I can achieve anything I put my mind to.
Hello, my name's Carlotta Allum and I am a PhD student at Central St Martin's, but I also run my own charity and I have done for almost 20 years. I founded my charity out of a personal life experience. I was a trained art teacher, but I spent some time in prison and I couldn't get a job, so I started working with prisoners because I wanted to put something back because I realised how lucky I was. And I worked with prisoners trying to bring art and culture into their lives. I used my masters in museums and education to work with artists and bring objects and storytelling in a way into their lives. And then I found digital storytelling, and it was the perfect culmination of everything that I was trying to do. So for the last 10 years, I've been working in storytelling with prisoners, and I'm lucky enough to be practice-led and fully funded as a PhD candidate at Central St Martin's because I worked with them and they saw what I was doing and the effect it was having on the prisoners. I'm really passionate about tapping into the authentic voice of the prisoner. So I started by using my own experience, and that makes me a credible messenger, which is something I've only discovered since my research has started, how important that is and how credible messengers and people with lived experience should be using their experience to give back. And it is always something that I've used in my group work to break the ice and to start a conversation. So when we start a story circle, it builds trust to say that you've been in prison as well and you understand their situation. We play lots of games, we play drama games. I encourage people to talk about maybe postcards that they like. We make things, we use our hands, we create things. We keep diaries because I think writing things down is very important. Making things, and I ask people to bring objects from their cells. I only have a few things from my prison experience. This is one of them. But I think being able to relate to people in that way is really important for the trust that builds in the group.
I've never been one for settling. That's even when I'm comfortable. When I was young, my mum moved us place to place, town to town, country to country, never allowing me enough time to fit in. In the first 7 years of my life, we moved over 20 times, eventually settling in an island in the northwest. 3 hours on a ferry and across the Irish Sea. We never found a place to stop, even still, moving 5 times again. Later my dad moved in with us for financial reasons, and my mum became too depressed to move. After turning 16, I moved out almost immediately, and feeling that old habits die hard, my drifting became more frequent. Choosing to stick to the island, and not the Isle of Wight, the Isle of Man by the way, but never staying in one place, I basically knew everybody, and could always blag a job if I needed to. I was incredibly lonely though. Emotional attachments weren't the norm for me, and yeah, I had friends, but no real direction, no safety, no plans to match. Drink and drugs soon became the common catalyst to social situations, and my popularity rose, along with a reputation for being a bit of a party animal. Unfortunately, whatever goes up must come down, and after 2 overdoses, 5 hospital visits, and a lot of jail, I felt my life was basically over. The real nail in the coffin was the death of my mum during my time inside. It left me deeply bitter and broken. But things are looking up now, and on the final stretch of a long sentence, I can see the light. Nothing's changed much though, just my attitude towards things, my outlook on life. I still haven't settled, but the things I do, the people I meet, are remembered as good times, to be cherished rather than missed, savoured rather than chewed. Drugs are no longer a problem, though my drinking still leaves a lot to be desired. In life, there's only things you need to remember. Be yourself, drop your ego, stay positive, say yes to things. Always take the little things in your heart and not for granted. And things could be worse, and it's not the end of the world. Be confident and be nice. Ask yourself, in the long run, in the great scheme of life, the universe and everything in it, does it really matter that much?
Together we build a story. It starts with the script, it starts with the writing, but you don't have to write it, you can just speak it. And we put pictures to it. I have iPads that we use, but it's not just about the digital aspect, even though that is important, because it's quite rare in prisons to be bringing iPads into the prison. It's more about trying to get people to authentically tell their story, and since I've started my research, I've realised that the narrative and the redemption narrative is really important, especially for in the criminal justice system, because being able to tell your story removes you slightly from the story, and if you can vision a slightly better future for yourself, it could be one step towards desistance. But storytelling can be used in lots of different ways. And I've been employed and I've used my storytelling techniques with other charities and with other groups. And with the university, I've worked with the Make Right project and encouraged people to tell their story of the project, but also the volunteers that worked on the project. And you can use the techniques in an interview style as well. So the films that I'm showing with this narrative are a selection of ways that you can use the storytelling process and how powerful it is to hear people speak authentically their truth.